Reluctantly, I yielded to Tom's pressure to agree to attend this party. He and his wife, Mary, were relentless, insisting that I start living my life again. I tried to convince them that I wasn't ready for socializing yet, certainly not among the crowd of happy couples who would undoubtedly be present at this party. My arguments seemed to fall on deaf ears, and eventually, they persuaded me to come, threatening to stay with me all night until I agreed. And so, I sat alone in a chair in the corner, watching, as I had feared, the conversations of various happy and unmarried couples. I wasn't the only third wheel at the party, but probably the only one not trying to connect with someone else, or even with any of the married couples present who were involved in such things. I'm not judging them, I'm just telling you about it. Shortly after we arrived, I was handed a beer, and I was still drinking from the same bottle even an hour later. By that point, it was quite warm, and I probably hadn't taken a single sip in the last 30 minutes. Occasionally, people came up to me to say hello and ask how I was doing. I tried my hardest to steer the conversation away from myself, focusing mostly on them rather than on me. I had never been my favorite topic, and now even less so. These mostly harmless conversations eventually petered out, and my acquaintances moved on to find someone else, and I reclined back in my chair once again. It was around this time, about an hour after my arrival, that she walked in. I noticed her immediately and hoped she hadn't seen me. I quickly got up from the chair and after some searching, found Tom in the kitchen, talking to other people whose names I knew, but nothing more. "Tom," I said, finally coming around.
"Henry, no."
She just walked in. "We need to leave." He knew exactly who I was talking about. "Why do we need to leave, Henry? We've only been here an hour." "You know why we need to leave." "Sorry, buddy, but I'm not leaving, and I'm not even going to try to convince Mary to leave." "You don't have to leave permanently, just drive me home, then come back." "We're not leaving, Henry. You just need to find a way to deal with her being here." "You know I can't do that, Tom. I thought you were my friend." "I've been your friend since 9th grade, and as your friend, I'm telling you it's time to face your fears. You both still live in the same neighborhood, so you'll run into each other from time to time. You need to find a way to deal with it, and tonight is as good a time as any to start." I just wasn't ready for this. Besides, I wasn't enjoying myself anyway. Since the divorce, I'd lost the desire to socialize much, and tonight my heart just wasn't in it. "Fine, just text me when you're ready to leave, and I'll meet you outside." "What are you going to do, Hyde?" He chuckled, but quickly stopped when I responded, "That's my current plan. It's a big house, and the second floor is unused."
"Just let know when we're leaving, Tom."
Tom just shook his head as I turned to leave and headed up the stairs. I quickly glanced back and saw Connie engaged in her own conversation, so I passed through the common area and ascended the black staircase, finally finding refuge in Pete and Stella's guest room, the hosts of the party. I pulled a chair up to the window and opened the blinds to gaze out into the night. It was a cloudless evening, and the moon shone brightly in the sky. The moonlight and the surrounding light pollution made it difficult to see many stars, but some were visible. Yes, I felt like a coward hiding here as I was, but my divorce had hit me hard. I had always been certain that I would spend the rest of my life with a certain constant, Alicia Zimmerman, and had always been sure that she loved me just as deeply as I did her. To find out I was wrong on both counts cut me to the core, and I still hadn't recovered even 16 months after the final divorce. I didn't really look at the clock, but it felt like a lot of time had passed as I waited for Tom's message that it was time to leave. I knew my phone was working fine, but that didn't stop me from checking it every couple of minutes just in case. I wish I could tell you some amazing story about how Connie and I met, but it was all very typical. We lived in the same dorm freshman year and met at some meeting or another. Neither of us was initially looking for anything serious, so we dated not only each other but other people as well. By the beginning of sophomore year, everyone else had just fallen away. No one made us as happy as we made each other, and then it was just me and Connie, until it wasn't. We had been married for 4 years when I discovered that the things I thought were true were lies. I worked a lot, sometimes from early morning until late at night, and sometimes spent 2 or 3 days on the road as needed, but we wanted to buy a house and start a family, so it was worth it. I kept a photo of Connie in my wallet to look at whenever I started to doubt, and it always gave me strength.
"I misset her."
I missed her terribly. I didn't hear the bedroom door open.
"I was lost in my Zukunft, watching the stars twinkle in the sky."
I thought it was the perfect night for Connie and me to spend by the public pool, lounging on deck chairs, sipping drinks, and talking about our future. It was really quite amusing, and even when I heard her voice, part of me thought it was more of a memory than reality. But it was reality.
"It's a beautiful view tonight."
To my surprise, I didn't flinch or turn around. I knew who it was, and looking at her was difficult.
Not as beautiful as you, Conje.
Her voice faltered for a moment. She didn't expect the compliment. You shouldn't say things like that to me, Henry.
You give me hope.
I didn't reply, just continued to stare out the window. So, did you come here to avoid me?
Yeah.
Do you still hate me so much?
I never hated you, Conje.
I hated what you did, but I never hated you. Then why come here and hide? It's too painful to look at you, to see you and know that you're not mine anymore. That was your choice, Henry. I told you I didn't want a divorce. I didn't even sign the papers. You had to go through the whole waiting period. I told you I'd never sign something that would divide us.
Tats wär wie differ, Conje.
In my opinion, it was your choice, not mine, and you made it when you decided to be with Mark. She sighed deeply, perhaps even sniffled a bit, but when she spoke again, she gathered herself.
I guess tats a fair assessment.
Speaking of Mark, I didn't see him come with you. I've never been with Mark, Henry, at least not in that way. I haven't seen him since you stumbled upon us, and I've only spoken to him on the phone twice since then. I never loved him, and I told you that. But you were with him.
Yes, I was.
I'm not going to deny that. You were working so much.
So, was it my fault?
No, I'm just trying to explain why I made the wrong choice. It's entirely my fault. I was lonely and I missed you, and Mark was saying the right things. He fixed the garbage disposal while you were, well, wherever you were at the time. He kept me company when I needed someone.
He kept you company?
Is that what you call it? Yes, Henry, because that's how it was, at least at first. And yes, he was a handsome guy, and he attracted me, but not more than any other guys I knew. But he was there, and that was all the advantage he needed. He wanted me, and I succumbed to him, to my eternal shame. And you couldn't say that?
That's called trust, Connie.
I believed you wouldn't do this to me.
I know.
I wanted to say that I really enjoyed it and you didn't know, so in my opinion it didn't affect you or us, so I did it again, and that time you came to us, and even then the second time wasn't as good as the first, although it was still okay, but not good enough to lose you. You don't expect me to pity you, do you?
No, Henry.
Like you said, I made a choice, and now I have to live with the consequences, and I don't expect anyone to pity me in my choice. I didn't know what else to say at that moment, and I suppose she didn't either, because there was a long and awkward silence. She was so quiet that I began to wonder if she was still there, so I glanced over my shoulder. She was there, looking at the floor and wiping her eyes with a napkin. Damn, even now, she was as beautiful as ever. I turned back to the window. So, seeing anyone since things didn't work out with Mark? No, I've been on a few dates, but none of them panned out. You just... Working? No dates lately. I haven't been too welcoming to your gender. Henry, turn around and look at me.
I die Raternot. Why not?
I've already told you it's too painful.
What do you want from me, Conje?
I want you to look at me, please. I turned around and found myself face to face with the love of my life and the most beautiful woman, at least to me, ever to walk the earth. I surveyed her from head to toe. She was wearing a short black skirt and a royal blue blouse, which was mostly modest. I think my eyes lingered there too long because she noticed and pointed it out to me. I don't wear things underneath either. I looked at her face, and there was a playful glint in her eyes, and for a moment I was stunned, but then I began to wonder why she wasn't wearing anything underneath. Who did you do this for?
Jure silly.
Oh, Connie, I'm sure you dressed just like that just for me when you didn't even know I'd be here. Do you really think I'm silly? Well, Henry, I knew you'd be here.
She steppet closer to me.
How do you think Tom and Mary were so insistent on you going out with them tonight? How do you think I knew you were hiding out here? My jaw dropped as I realized the scheme that lured me into this thieves' den. They really insisted on me coming tonight. In other cases, they tried to get me to go out, and I refused, and eventually they gave up, but tonight they wouldn't take no for an answer. Was it all just some big ploy?
For what purpose? What do you want? I want a chance, Henry. What do you mean by a chance?
I came here hoping for two things. Firstly, I want you to take me to that bed and make love to me, however you want it, no strings attached. You're the only man I've ever loved, and it kills me every day knowing you're not the last man I've been intimate with. I want this, and I need it. I couldn't dismiss the appeal of this request, but I doubted it could be done without any conditions, as she proposed.
And secondly, I want another chance.
If you want to take me tonight and be done with it, I'll understand.
It's all fine.
I don't want it, but I'll take it. But I'm still the woman you were in love with and asked to spend your life with, though now I think you've grown a bit wiser and more mature, so I want us to start dating again.
I'm not asking you to take me to court tomorrow and marry me again.
You still love me, I know you do, and I still love you more than anything in the world. I made a mistake, but I think it would be awful to destroy what could have been a beautiful marriage because of it. I approached her until we were just inches apart. No need for any words.
Our lips parted for a moment, enough for me to say, bet.
And soon we were lying down more comfortably. Maybe I should have thought about some consequences, but the fact was I didn't. I doubted anything could stop me from making love to her right now.
I missed you so much, honey. So much. I know, baby, I know.
I missed you too. We kissed and nuzzled each other's necks, just enjoying being close again.
Thank you, Henry.
You'll never know how much this meant to me.
Is Terre a chance?
Well, you know, for the second. I'm still not sure about that, Connie, but let me ask you something.
Did you come here to nicht in your car?
Yes, just in case, if something went wrong and I had to leave. Then I think we should talk about this a little more, but I think we should do it at our apartment.
Our apartment?
Well, I mean, it's mine for now, until we get your things back.
You're serious?
Baby, please don't play with me because I'm going to show up at your door with my things tomorrow if you don't tell me you're joking.
I'm dead serious.
I'll even help you move. I smiled at her, and she smiled back. Finally, everything was okay again. I never stopped loving her. We lingered for a few more minutes before we could get up and find our clothes. We walked out of the bedroom hand in hand. Before we left, I noticed Tom talking to a couple of people at the foot of the stairs. I approached and whispered in his ear, "I'll never forgive you for this." He just turned and looked at me, then at Connie standing next to me, and then back at me.
Yeah, I'm sure you won't. It'll be a terrible punishment for me. Are we still going bowling tomorrow night?
Yeah, bring Mary, so we can play in the mixed doubles.
Got it.
Let me know if you need help getting Connie's stuff back in place. I turned and looked at him.
How'd you know? I know you better than you know yourself.
Just call me, and we'll move her stuff. I could only smile and nod. I took Connie's hand, and we walked to her car.